Wait, what did I say again?
What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today we're going to be grafting Gala apple or Gala apple onto my 5-in-1 apple tree, making it 6-in-1. Alright. Alright guys, so let's go over some things you'll need. Rubbing alcohol. My assistant here is going to be helping me. Along with some paper towel. We have the Gala grafts right here, the scions. Pruning shears. I'll hold that one because they're sharp. Some grafting tape. You can get this stuff on Amazon pretty cheap. Grafting knife. And a Sharpie to label and keep up with the grafts you're doing. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is use the rubbing alcohol here to disinfect both your knife and your pruners. So we're going to give it a nice douse. Just dousing that pretty good. Here you go, Joss. Hang on to that.
Okay.
You can put it back in the bucket. And we're just going to wipe everything off, especially these shears. They're pretty, I was going to town around the yard the past couple days, so. And it dries so quick, you don't even need to worry about that. And our pruning knife's all taken care of. Quick side note, for those of you who don't know, the difference between a pruning knife and say a pocket knife. You can use a pocket knife, Swiss Army knife, possibly even a utility knife. But one of the advantages of this grafting knife is it's a little harder here. If you're doing certain grafts, you can actually pound some pressure on it. For me, I need to put some pressure on with my thumbs when I'm doing cleft grafts. So just a little tidbit there. Pretty advantageous tool to have here. Get them pretty cheap on Amazon or online. All right, so behind me I have my 5-in-1, soon to be 6-in-1 apple. We have, I know we have, some of them are labeled and some of them have fallen off, which is okay. Yeah, one of these labels was other, so it's gonna be a surprise. But I know there's, the rootstock is Honeycrisp, which there's a few of these branches that are Honeycrisp. I have green apple, I have Arkansas, and I have Fuji, and we're gonna be putting on the Gala. Okay, so I have my scion wood here that I got from a nice gentleman online. You'll have to excuse the roosters if any of that's getting in the audio. So this is my first time opening it up. It's been in the fridge for about 3 days after having it mailed here. And what I'm planning to do is graft right here next to the other apple variety. And what I'm gonna do is see if I have a nice piece of scion that's basically the same diameter or slightly smaller. You'll see this one here. It's a great piece of scion, but it's very thick. And also this tree is pretty young. It's probably gonna take off really, really well. It's been this next year, because it's been in the ground for about half a year now. It's really well established, breaking out of dormancy. So what we're gonna do is grab just a nice smaller piece here. Yeah. This is feeling pretty good. It's a little thicker than the previous one. The thicker the better, but it needs to be either equal or less than the rootstock. All right, let's do it. So obviously this is my first rodeo with grafting apple trees, but it's fairly simple. Right now I am just looking at the nodes on the scion to see what exactly I should be doing here. I really want a couple of nodes very close to each other. And what I'm going to do, if I know I'm using these nodes, is take it off about half an inch above the first top node. We're coming down, we have 2. You really want 2 to 3 nodes to start a decent graft. I'm gonna go with 2. I feel confident. So I've picked 2 nodes here. So what I'm gonna do is, with my grafting tape here, self-adhering, start from about half an inch below the first bud. Come on up nice and tightly. Make sure that's very well bound on the top there. That's where a lot of moisture can escape. I'm gonna come back down and put a lot of tension on, and there it goes. So we have that wrapped. That's a good start. Next, what we're gonna do, we're not gonna use this entire scion. My rule of thumb is, if this is gonna be our graft, we want at least the same length, but I usually take it a little bit more. So we're gonna do that, give it a snip, and we're gonna be doing a cleft graft. So I'll take my grafting knife here, and what we're gonna do is come down this way and come down the opposite way and make a really nice clean wedge. And they say never to like whittle it. You really don't want to intentionally do that, but you can take a few swipes if needed. But I might have to do this slightly off camera, depending on the awkwardness. Some people like to bring it towards them like that. I'm not a big fan of that. And this is harder than I thought it'd be. What I usually do is I take it on my knee for a little added pressure, which I'm gonna dip out of camera real quick and do. Yeah, so basically I kind of put it on my knee, put pressure there, and swipe it up. That's how I like to do it. But this is essentially what you want. A nice thin wedge here. The scion could be a little straighter, but I think it'll be okay as long as there's contact. The main thing with grafting, if you didn't know, is there's this cambion layer right below the bark, and that needs contact with the cambion on the rootstock back here. So now that we have this wedge here, we're gonna take a look at the branch that we're checking out. And really, I want to graft as close to where it branches out as possible, but leaving a little space here. So I have my scion wood here. Here's the start of the branch. I'm gonna give it about an inch, and essentially we're gonna be making the cleft that length and popping it off right here. And seeing that there is a bud right there, I'm gonna go a little higher than that, and boom. Okay, now we're gonna use our knife here and make that wedge I was talking about. And also I'm gonna kind of roughly mark how long that should be. There we go. So basically we're just gonna start putting some pressure on here, rocking it back and forth. Coming down. Yeah, to be honest, I really don't like how thin this is getting. So I can either take a little length off of the scion, or I can start a new one and go a little further down. I think I'm gonna take a little length off of the scion. That is nearly a perfect fit, so we're going to start wrapping that up. Grab my grafting tape here, get a nice healthy piece. Okay, so what I like to do is tie it off. Give myself plenty of extra room here Graft starts here, I'm tying it down here. We're gonna slowly work our way up with lots of tension on it. It's best to have contact on both sides, and I think with this diameter we can achieve that. So what I'm doing is just giving it a lot of tension on my way up. Straightening it out. Coming all the way up. We want to wrap it up here on the top. Make sure no moisture gets in there, and we're just going to come on back down. So I'll have that excess here I can tie it off with. Okay, plenty of extra, and I'm going to use this to label. Down the road I'll get a more permanent label. And actually this is just from an aluminum can cut up, and I used a pen to kind of etch in there. We're going to label this Gala with today's date. I believe it's the 24th. All right, so we're all set with the graft here. Nice and tightly wrapped. No moisture is gonna escape or permeate. But basically, we're breaking into spring here, and it's, as things come out of dormancy, which some of these varieties already have, but as they come out of dormancy, we're gonna get some buds pushing here. I don't have to remove this tape because it's grafting tape and the buds can penetrate. But down the road, when I'm ensured that the graft is united, I will be taking this off. If you don't, you can start to girdle it, which is if too much growth pushes up this way, you'll have a thin little spot here. But really, you have about 3 to 6 months to remove that, which is fine. And honestly, this graft should be taking off in a reasonably short amount of time now that we're hitting spring. So probably about 2 to 3 weeks we'll start seeing some growth out of these buds. Okay guys, well as always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Please feel free to comment if you guys have any different input or a different way of grafting than cleft graft that you may want to see. Also be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing updates on some of these projects that you guys may want to check out. Anyway, thanks for tuning in guys. Till next time.